Are you interested in looking at how you can pivot your professional career to find something you're more passionate about and fulfilling in your life? If so, we have a great guest for you right here today on the lifestyle.org podcast. I'm here today with Jim Panos. He is an amazing life coach, but specifically helps people to find how do you connect with a more fulfilling career and pivot away from the things that seem to be dragging you away from really your passions and your fulfillment. He is the author of the book, Find Your Passion. Welcome to Jim Panos. Jim, thanks for being with us today.
It's a pleasure and an honor, Roy. Thank you so much.
It's great. You have lofty goals, man, because I've seen that you have a goal that you've already set for the year 2060. 60.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
What's your goal?
To inspire 3 billion people to find their passion at work.
And how many people do you want to impact by the year 2060?
Well, 3 billion. That's a goal. That's a vision.
3 billion people, individuals.
Yeah.
That's a huge goal.
Individuals.
Now, you're working on it now. You're transforming people in multiple countries around the world.
Yeah.
Tell our viewers a little bit about yourself for people who haven't heard of you yet.
Yes, of course. I specialize in career coaching. I'm a career coach, and I wrote the book Find Your Passion because when I was 16, my dad told me, son, you've got 3 options: law, engineering, medical school. Pick one of them. And my dad was an ex-military in the Air Force, and he was very strict and always rigid in his beliefs. And, I said, Dad, I'm not good at math, so I will go with law, I suppose. And I found myself in a very sad and almost, I would say, depressing period in my life while I was in the legal field and while I was studying law. And it was that pain that made me realize that not only do I not love what I do, but let me see if I can help others into really finding their passion. So it was that kind of pain that made me think, hey, there must be others also who might have been through this or who might be going through this right now. And that's how I started my career coaching business. I've been working with career-driven professionals in the US and across several different countries, Ireland, France, Thailand, Switzerland, Greece, Italy, Brazil. And yeah, it's been a very humble experience, but I did write the book and I started the business just to really help others, be more passionate in their careers, and it's because that changed me, and I see the impact in myself and in others. So I really want to pass that on to others. The vision was more kind of an absurd goal, and that's the purpose, right? To bring others on board on your mission to help others too. So it's not about me doing that individually, but it's more about building, inspiring others to follow on that path too. So, yeah.
I love that, Jim. A lot of people, when they talk about, following their passions and stuff like that,
yes,
they only primarily focus on what are the things that bring them joy, what are the things that they enjoy. They don't necessarily look at what are the things bringing you pain. And I love your story because even at the age of 16, you're kind of in this painful experience of understanding there are expectations that your parents have on you, other people have on you, and you want to make them happy. We all do. We want to make our parents proud. We want to make, if we're married, we want to make our spouses proud. If we got kids, we want to make our kids proud. And so we get ourselves pigeonholed into professions or occupations that we're less than passionate about, but the expectation of someone else, if we say, I just don't want to do this anymore, I want to do something else, the fear of disappointing them or causing them some issues is so great that we tend to not follow our passions because of that. But I think it's interesting, your story, because here your father, a very strong parental figure in your life, is saying, here's your choices amongst the choices I'm giving you. So how did you manage? Because I've heard that you are an attorney, you've been a lawyer. How were you able to pivot away from something that wasn't fulfilling your passion?
Yeah, that was really hard, and like there are so many steps that I needed to take. But I would say like the first challenge was really dealing with the expectations of others. In my case, it was my parents. Okay, I think that's important. I think there is so much room to really underline that people have expectations of us, and especially if they are our loved ones. Now, this might be our parents, might be our friends, might be our partner, might be our spouse. But these are the people who have the most impact on you. And I think, first of all, I think you've got to recognize that. You have to acknowledge the impact that others have on you. Okay, I know we live in a culture that actively promotes individualism. Okay, and that's good in terms of achieving things. Okay, don't get me wrong with that, but we have underestimated the impact of others, especially our loved ones. So the first thing was to really admit like the impact that both my parents had, especially my father. So I wanted to make him proud, and I thought that was the way to do it. And by proud, I mean I wanted to like really get more attention from him, and I think that's very common. We try to get attention from others because actually what we need is feeling loved. And to be honest and real with you, I really didn't have that experience with my father. He was very close as a person, so I wanted more of his love. And for me, doing that was the way to show him, hey, I got it done. I achieved. We all know. Law, is not. It's a hard field to get into. And when I realized that, hey, this is not really, my dream, really, not at all. This is not even my goal. That was really painful, to be honest. But it was also true. And the truth does set you free. Yeah. Really. So the first step was really being honest with myself. And ask myself, hey, like, why you do what you do, really? Or if you flip that, like if you had all the status and money and power in the world, okay, and all the love as well, okay, assuming you had all these things, would you still be here? Would you still be doing what you're doing right now? And I did ask myself that question, and I was stunned. I said, oh my God, that's not it. That's not it. And it was the first step to changing careers, because you have to also realize what you don't want. Okay. And don't underestimate that power, because it's the power of being clear on your no's. Okay. So for me, that was a big no. The legal field was a big no. It was completely opposite to most of my values and interests and everything. So that was the first step. And the second step was research, definitely. And that was kind of a big pain, honestly. I accidentally came across, the field of coaching and human development by just watching, a YouTube video, literally. And, it was a big pain, because personality tests, they will get you so far. So Yeah.
Those occupational tests, I'm not sure who wrote them, but I remember in high school, as a senior in high school, taking that.
Yeah.
And it said the 3 things that I'd be really good at was a funeral home director, which a florist, or I forget what the third one was, but it was like so bizarre, out of there.
Yeah. No, like exactly. Mine was like 60 different options. Like quite the opposite. So that's what made me get more involved into the field. That's what made me do my professional coaching training by the International Coaching Federation. And that's where I said, okay, let's start building some new tools, and methods for career clarity versus, the traditional obsolete methods. So
I love what you do, especially in this term. As I read your bio, I love this. You help people with career clarity. I worked, and many people know, I worked on a university campus for 6 years. In my office, we had this running joke that all the students that were waiting to talk with me tended to be, if they were, and I won't say what, because I don't want people to think I'm making a racial comment, which I am not. It's actually a very positive thing. There was a certain demographic of students from a particular nation that their parents, they had such high regard for their parents, and their parents would say, you have options when you go to school. You can be a medical doctor or you can be a dentist. Pick one. You have options.
Pick one.
And they would be in my office in tears because they really felt like they were made to help people in a different way outside of the medical sciences. And so we had a running joke in my office. We should have had one of those deli ticket things, now serving number 471, because this line of students coming in, just desperate to talk with someone like myself who could coach them into how do you navigate when you realize, even before you're doing the job, you realize this is not going to be something that's fulfilling to me. And I think a lot of people look at fulfillment as what's going to make me happy, but that's not fulfilling at all. What makes you happy is fleeting. Fulfillment is about what makes other people happy, what brings joy to other people. And once you connect with that, life coaches say you're never poor a day in your life. Once you connect with how do you make other people happy and fulfill their life dreams. And so I love in your work, you talk about excuses. Now, a lot of times in life coaching, people talk about excuses as far as you need to get all the excuses out of your life, take 100% responsibility for your own life. And I agree with that because in many ways, excuses are one of the greatest enemies of greatness. But you look at excuses in another way that I'm so happy that you do this in your content. But you actually look at how excuses cover up and hide people's passions. And once we say no more excuses, that's when you can actually uncover and follow the very passions of what you were made to do in your life's vocation. Unpack that for us as far as the role of excuses and no more excuses. How does that help people follow their true path?
That's a great question. Thanks for asking. I appreciate that. Well, you see, excuses are the surface of what's going on in our lives. Okay. They are the results. Okay. They are not the causes, let alone the root causes. Okay. Of the problem, of what's going on. Yeah. So I can just give you a few examples. Okay. Very common. Time. I'm a busy professional.
I don't have time.
I don't have time, I have, take care of my, children, or, I want to hang out with, my friends, I have, my hobbies, I don't have, the time. Or like, another excuse, of course, very common, money. Now, don't get me wrong. Of course, it's a problem, but problem does not equal excuse or justification. Okay. So yeah, okay, I don't have, this X amount of money for this training I want to do, so I can upskill myself and change careers. Okay, you can simply make, a financial plan, but it's not about finding an answer in a rational way. It's more about recognizing that all this is like a net, okay, over you, and just have to realize that everything, when it comes to your story or your narrative or your excuses, comes from, of course, that from an unconscious level, okay, especially the parts of your brain that have to do with your emotions, your amygdala, and your limbic system, okay, in neuroscience. So the reason I'm telling you this is because, to break that down, it really starts with some strong beliefs you have about yourself and the world, okay? Not values, okay, because values are beliefs, but they are more your compass and your North Star in your life, okay? They are beliefs that they are disempowering, okay, but you are not aware of them, and you might have learned because they're actually teachable and transferable by others. So you might have learned these beliefs by your parents. That's the number one example, or the people who raised you. Okay, then your peers. Okay, then your teachers or your mentors, or anyone who has had a great impact on your life. Okay, you might have been looking up to this person, and a typical belief is, for example, rejection is bad. Okay, and no one's gonna tell you that necessarily, as a statement, but their behavior is gonna show you that you are not allowed to make mistakes. You're not allowed to fail. But if you do, let's cover it up. Let's forget about it. Now, how does that manifest? That puts pressure on you, okay, for a specific outcome. Now, because life is unpredictable, you can't just, be hitting every single outcome all the time, okay? And when that moment comes, when that first failure or first rejection or 10th rejection, doesn't matter, comes, you start having specific feelings, okay? Specifically disappointment, or fear of not being worth it, okay? And these feelings really are in charge of your life. Yeah. So these are part of your unconscious mind and brain. And as a result of that, then you rationalize them. So, for example, when you, typical example, we fail, at something new, okay, a few times, then we stop. Yeah. I'm not cut out, for it. Or we procrastinate, we say, okay, I'm going to try another time, or maybe, okay. And ultimately we say, I didn't have the time, or it was the money, or it was, the expectations of others. So you can literally see, like, you can easily visualize, like how your beliefs really create specific thoughts and emotions, and how this affect your actions and behavior, and how this behavior then manifests itself into excuses, or what I call in the book justification. So this is not about, really not acknowledging that you have actual problems, so it's not about a wishy-washy thinking that, I don't have these problems, I forget about them, I change careers. No, no. It's about realizing that these are just that, problems, okay, that you can overcome them, okay, but because we are emotionally overwhelmed, okay, by everything that is caused by our beliefs, example, the fear of rejection, which is you are not supposed to make mistakes, or you should not make mistakes. One belief. That's where you should start looking at the root cause. And meditation can help, like, to observe your thoughts, so you can separate your disempowering thoughts from your goals, basically. And not so that's how, like, very simply we can break it down.
I love that, Jim. The reality that most people don't understand, as they have desires consciously that they don't want to make excuses. Consciously, they want to be successful. Consciously, that they want to have courage. You mentioned several things there that, there's layers of our mind. There is the subconscious, which you mentioned first, which this is established before you're 7 years old, as far as your understanding, your operating system of how your mind sees the world. And so it sees different things as threats. And so certain failures, certain rejections, like you mentioned, can be seen as huge threats. Now, there's a layer between your conscious and your subconscious,
of course,
known as the ego. And nowadays, especially in Western mindset, we use ego as a negative term, but the ego actually loves you. The ego is a very important part of your mind. If I were to draw a picture of the ego, I would draw a shield, because it's shielding you from danger. It's keeping you alive. It loves you. It doesn't want you to die. But when you go through rejection, or when you go through, you had in mind you were going to do something this well, and it doesn't turn out, and you're embarrassed in public, or someone criticizes what you did, your ego tells you that's a threat, and it tells your subconscious, avoid at all cost these activities, because if you do them, it's dangerous. And so ultimately what happens is, if you allow yourself to have the excuses consciously of saying, I will avoid doing that again because I failed 1, 2, 3, 5, 20 times, I will avoid that. The excuse of saying, I can't do that, or I don't have time, or I don't have the energy, I don't have the mentality to do it. Just by allowing that excuse, it discourages you from trying to perfect an activity that you're passionate about. And discouraging takes away your courage. You have to have courage to do anything that is important to the world. And to allow the excuse to discourage you, to literally disarm the courage that you have, it really does take away your significance to the world around you. So I love the fact that you're addressing this and trying to help people understand these excuses are not merely keeping you from success. These excuses are keeping you from reprogramming your subconscious to say, oh, I guess I can do that, and reprogramming your ego to say, oh, we lived. I guess that's not life-threatening.
Exactly. And, don't get me wrong, you can choose to just succumb to your excuses, you can do that. But if you do, be aware that it's your choice. Okay, so that's important. Because when you are the owner of your choices, then you won't complain about that. You won't ultimately, regret about something. But be aware that it's a choice, and you have the power of that choice, and it's on you on how, in which direction, you're gonna take. But be aware. So awareness is the first and ultimately the last thing.
And that's where meditation comes in.
Yes.
A lot of people view meditation in different ways, and there's several different types of meditation. But ultimately, depending on which religious persuasion you're a part of, there is such a thing as Christian meditation, where you are quieting your mind and connecting with God in that way. There's Eastern meditation. There's, of course, Zen and Buddhist and Taoist and all different types of meditation. But many people, because they think it's just an Eastern practice, they don't understand that even if you're part of Judeo-Christian religious background, that meditation is something positive, because you do have to quiet your mind and and let the spiritual realm connect with you in a way to guide you and to help encourage you and get yourself out of the way so that your
Thanks for
excuses
sharing that.
don't take over.
Yeah, no, thanks for sharing that, because, and I really want to clarify something here, because that's very important. Okay, some people, as you said, associate meditation with a specific religious practice or even spiritual practice, and yes, that is true, but that doesn't have to be that way. Okay, here I refer to meditation as a tool. That's it, as a tool to getting clarity. That's it. How? By simply using it to observe your thoughts. So it's, to me, I found out through my practice, it's the most effective tool for self-awareness, which brings career clarity. So no, you don't have to believe in a specific religion to practice meditation, and doing otherwise won't cost you anything. But it's a tool. It's a tool, and you have to be able to use every effective tool that you can find for your goals, whether it's career clarity or anything else. And I was fascinated when I came across it. So pick your own style, but it has really helped me personally and my clients a lot. It's like a main ingredient, of my process and method. And I've been meditating over like more than 5 years now, every day. So it has really changed me also for the better when it comes to being in control of my emotions, being in charge better, not control, being in charge of my emotions versus letting them, dictate my actions. So thanks for sharing.
There's a lot of talk and some misunderstanding in today's buzzword, which is mindfulness. But the most important thing for people who want to be successful to understand is your mind controls everything. Your mind controls your reality and controls your ability to process information, to be able to see where you are, what you can change, what you need to focus on in order to help the people around you. There are so many people that are trying to, that many people probably talk to you about life coaching and career coaching and saying, I want to do that. And you have to help them first understand, well, let's help you connect with you and then help you connect with others so that you're not trying to fix others to make yourself feel better, because that's a recipe for failure in the life coaching business. It's about sharing different methodologies that work to help you be the biggest blessing that you can be to the people around you. I've also been privileged to be able to read a lot of information about the scientific studies of what happens when people stop and they're still and they allow all the noise, all the junk around them to just go away, and let's focus on your purpose. Let's focus on who you are and what you're called to do in order to change the world. You use science-based methodologies to help people connect to their number one passion. Describe for us, what are those scientific methodologies that you use?
Yeah, of course. First of all, like I made sure that I'm gonna use tools that they are based in neuroscience, in social science, in applied psychology, and also they touch the field of physics. So like I always start my process with the brain and the unconscious mind. That is very important. So what I just said, it was an oversimplification of the process, which is, okay, how can you identify your disempowering beliefs? Okay, so literally by being aware of that, okay, by being aware of those beliefs, literally you can start having changes in your brain, okay, through neural synapses. Okay, so to make it even more simple, once you are aware of your limiting beliefs and disempowering beliefs, you have changed your biochemistry in a way that you are actually more open to receiving information. Okay, and that's very important, because when that happens, you will be, think of it as your potential is the sun, but it's cloudy. It's very cloudy. Okay, and by being aware of those clouds, automatically eliminates them. Okay, at least most of them. Okay, and then you can simply see, the sun, which is, your true potential. Okay, so being aware of your disappearing beliefs, it's one method. Then it's the science of habits. Okay, which is, okay, what kind of habits can you actually develop to really strengthen your emotional resilience? And the reason I'm saying that is because you will really need it in a career transition, okay? Because you are going to have quite a few obstacles, okay? You might not, but let's assume that you will, okay? So how can you really boost your resilience, especially emotionally and mentally? The best way to do that is through habits, okay? And there is this common notion that, okay, you need 21, 30 days to build a habit, but that's actually a gross oversimplification, which was introduced by Dr. Maxwell Maltz in the 50s. He was a plastic surgeon, and basically he noticed that his patients and clients, they needed approximately 21 to 30 days to getting used to their new appearance, on their face. So, but I found out that literally there are so many things that interfere with how successful you're going to be in building your habits for emotional resilience. And that, for example, it's your, environment. Let's say, for example, that, okay, you want to go every morning for a run. Okay, do you have your sneakers right next to your bed, or they're just somewhere lost in your house? Okay, environment. Personality. By personality, I mean adaptability. Your natural tendency to adapt to something. Some people just need more time, to adapt to a new situation. Then your social environment. Okay, do other people judge you about your new habits? Okay, so there are quite a few things that really play a significant role in building a habit. So that can take anywhere from 20 days to actually a year. Okay, yeah. So by realizing that, I said, okay, what are the simplest habits for someone to really boost their emotional and mental resilience? So the first was meditation. Okay, so that's why I said science-based, and meditation is a tool. Okay, the second one was any kind of exercise, especially that boosts your heart. Okay, so cardiovascular exercise, whether it's running or swimming, even a few minutes every day, even speed walking. Okay, for 15 minutes a day. So these things, this kind of habits really help you build that resilience. And there are two functions for that resilience. First is for you to really, because the more you boost your emotional resilience, the more you weaken your disempowering beliefs in your brain, because you create new synapses. How? Through positive emotions. Okay, through endorphins. So what is great about that is that by doing these simple habits, you literally increase your chances to really discover what you love, because your brain is more tuned to positive emotions, which then will allow you to go and seek more knowledge. Okay, and it will also empower you to taking the right actions, so you can find that knowledge, or so you can overcome any kind of obstacle that pops up on your way. So I think this is important. And also something very, very important is I make sure that people really get out of their comfort zone when it comes to career clarity. How? You see, a great example is the COVID-19 pandemic, okay? Because people really needed to stay home or just be, alone, okay, in solitude. And as a result, they had more time to reflect on themselves. And that was, that had a huge impact on their, decisions to, change careers, for example. Okay, so in my practice, since the first months, actually, I always said, to my clients, okay, you've got to go somewhere to isolate yourself for at least 2 days, ideally in nature. Okay, so you will be away from distractions. Now, why is that important? Why is it science-based? It's because our mind, and specifically our brain, associates specific places with specific emotions. Okay, so if you are, your home, you feel comfortable, but also if you feel stuck in your career, okay, it's also a feeling that you will automatically adopt when you are in, your room. Okay, yeah. So every place in your house creates a specific feeling. Your favorite restaurant creates a specific feeling. Okay, what I want them to do, and what everyone I would highly encourage to do, when it comes to career clarity, is really to make sure they take some time for themselves away from everyone, and ideally in an environment that is like a first time visit. Okay, it doesn't have to be, a trip to Alaska, no, but something, but anywhere, ideally nature, where they will be away from any distractions. That is very, very important. So most people will tell you, okay, do this test, okay, or hey, just keep exploring, okay, do more jobs, so you can find what you love, which is better than doing nothing. Don't get me wrong, okay, but discovering your passion is like innovating, because you actually innovate. You create something new for yourself, for the quality of your career and life. And the best way to do that and be in innovation, non-judgmental mode, is to really take care of yourself and be in a place where you feel at peace. So one of the steps, in my programs, I call it peace. And that's where, people schedule their own career retreat, VOEs, for that reason. And yeah. So there's so much depth, into it, versus just using the rational part of your brain, which is to do some specific exercises, but it's not enough to tap into your intuition, which actually processes faster information than our brain. So yeah. The information actually goes through our gut first, and then it goes up to our brain. So all these things, I need to take them, into account, so I can build something more effective.
That's great. So you have people find a place of peace, spend a couple of days in this reflective, non-distracted environment, and they do that, and then they come back to you and they say, this was my experience. What's the next steps for someone to connect to a career that's more in line with their passions?
Yes, of course. Thanks, for asking that. So when they are, when you are, your career retreat, with my clients, I give them specific exercises, but also, the space and time to meditate and self-reflect. So, all these exercises are, in the book, but what someone can do right now is during that retreat, okay, before they leave, okay, so let's get back to the retreat, okay, I want them to take some time to reflect on 6 key components, okay? Number 1, their values, okay? Now, these are key principles that are going to be your North Star, your compass, and everyone has values. So for example, my top, values are, impact, freedom, and adventure. But it can be anything. It can be think and play big. It can be family. Doesn't matter. And all of us have them. But they've got to reflect and really discover their top three. Okay, that's important. Now, how can you discover your values? Think of it that if you were the only person on this planet, because Armageddon happened, so everyone is dead except you. Okay, and you really are in charge, and you have all the power to build again this world. Based on what values would you build that world? Okay, and just start writing. So you do need your pen and paper traditionally, because it helps you be in a more creative mode versus typing. So values. Number two, vision. By vision, I mean your ideal life situation. Now you're going to tell me, okay, how is that relevant to one's career? I think they should be like strongly connected. Okay, and the reason I'm saying this is because I believe one's career should serve their ideal lifestyle. Okay, we should not juxtapose them. Okay, they should not be opposites. Okay, what do you do in your free time? What does that mean? That means that you're a slave at work. That's where free time most likely came from. Okay, I'm not sure, but I started thinking about how we use words. Okay, so your ideal life situation in terms of family, in terms of friends, in terms of lifestyle. Okay, take some time to really write down and build that image or draw. Okay, so values, vision, your purpose, and by purpose I mean the way that you want to serve others. So I in my model I have integrated purpose with passion, because as you said before, it's not about doing something just for yourself, which is good, but it's not as fulfilling, not the least as fulfilling as doing something you love while serving others.
Yes.
Through that specific activity. So the serving others part comes into place through purpose. Okay, so you have values, you have vision, you have purpose, you have your interests. Okay, so write down, whatever you are curious about, or what you like to learn, or just your hobbies. But it's gonna be a long list as well. Then it's your favorite strengths, not just strengths, but your favorite strengths. So what people say that you are good at. Okay, forget about tests. Okay, what people say you are good at, and specifically people who are more objective, acquaintances or distant friends or former employers, current employers, managers, peers, colleagues, you name it. So once you do that, then you go to your favorite skills. Okay, and these are the skills that you have learned, but your favorite one. So your passion is at the intersection of these 6 key things, of 6 key components, if you wish. So once you have that free time for yourself, try to find things that all these 6 key components have in common. Okay, now it's going to be complicated, and that's why I have written a book. It's a whole process, but it's as close as you can get towards that first step, and that's why a career break is a new beginning. That's why most people take career breaks. That's why I took a career break to travel across the globe, especially Europe. But it's not enough. So being able to work on these 6 key components is important, because the ultimate outcome is going to be something that is going to be long lasting, it's going to be fulfilling, and it's going to change every area of your life. Okay, because you won't feel that you will be doing work, you will have more, you will increase your performance dramatically. Okay, at least by 100%, and people will see how fulfilled you actually are. And yeah, some of them will not accept that at the beginning because of their own, egos. But ultimately, you will attract the people that will accept you as who you are. So, yeah, that's how someone can start.
Yeah, I think those 6 things to look at are vital, especially as people are looking at, their current situation. Perhaps they're already established in a career, and I know you feel the same way. As far as you probably work with some people who they're not fulfilled where they are. They're in the right profession, but they're just with the wrong people. And helping them understand, you may not have to deviate away from your career. You just may need to deviate away from this workplace because it's toxic, and these people don't have the same passion or vision to serve as you do. And so there's toxicity in that workplace, but just helping people understand their purpose. A lot of people ask me, well, how do I know my purpose or my passions? And I ask them, what can you not stop thinking about? There are people who come to me that they feel very passionate about writing books, or I work in television, so they're very passionate about doing television or film programming. And so I just ask them, can you stop thinking about it? If you can, it's not part of your passion. And if you can't stop thinking about it, well, why don't you start doing something about it and get that forward momentum? Because that's where you start to not feel like a failure when you've started writing something, you've started working, you've started classes toward getting certified in something in the area that you're passionate about. But it's really, can you stop thinking about it? And if you can, well, then you could just set that thing aside. That's not part of your passion.
Yeah, I mean, a quick note on that. I actually start with that question. What can what could you be doing 24/7? Now, if the answer is yes, great. Okay, we just go straight to it. But the reason I built the model that I just described is because most of the times it's not like a straightforward yes. For quite a few people. Okay, so but if it's a no, doesn't mean that it's not right. It just means that it needs some extra pieces. It needs more refinement. Okay, and to refine something further, that's where your values and your interests and your skills and your strengths and your purpose come in. But yeah, if someone can answer straight, okay, I could be doing that, but seriously, 24/7, then that's great. That's great. Just like I realized that it's not a big yes or even a yes for most people. So
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I imagine you deal with something I consistently deal with as well, which is helping people to overcome as they're trying to take these steps forward into a career path that they're more passionate about or more fulfilled by. Helping them overcome their fears and their unconscious biases seem to be one of the first roadblocks that I hit. I don't know if that's the same in your practice. What are you finding in the areas of fears and biases?
Yeah, it's actually what, I said before. So that's exactly where I start. And that's why I start with habits that boost emotional resilience, because it really presets the mind for self-discovery. So it's really about being clear on these empowering beliefs, and these are called, in common terms, biases or stereotypes, and they can be about yourself or others, but doesn't matter, because if they are about others, they are about yourself too. So for example, if you are, a woman and you want to transition into a STEM field, okay, but you believe unconsciously, okay, not consciously, unconsciously, that, okay, because I'm a woman, I cannot do that, okay, because maybe your mom or your grandma, told that, or because, for any reason, or because, you might have had a teacher who told you, hey, you're not good, at this subject, so you thought you can do it. Okay, so stereotypes, biases, or stereotypes about others are also about yourself. And the best way to deal with them is, as I said, being aware. Meditation helps, and then literally write down. Now, ideally, you want to reach a level where you will discover that statement, because they are statements. Okay, so so in the case of the lady, women cannot be successful instant. Okay, and you literally write down, I reject the belief that. Okay, that's one of the most effective tools I found. So you literally write down, I reject the belief that, and you fill out that belief. Okay, and then you write, and the truth is that. Okay, and then you replace it with an apparent belief. And the truth is, for example, that women are very successful in STEM. Okay, so you literally write that you reject that belief as an order, okay, to your brain, and then you write the truth, and you have these two statements as your lullaby.
Yeah.
Literally every day, you practice on them, and that's also one way to reset that by self-talk. But you need to be consistent in that. So like first thing in the morning before you go to bed, it should be like your Bible.
Yeah.
So
I think it's so important for people to do that, like what you mentioned, on a repetitive base. Your subconscious doesn't know the phrase "I don't want," and so you have to state to yourself repetitively over and over again to rewrite your software and state what you do want. A lot of people I work with, every time they say, "But I can't," and then they fill in the blank, whatever it is, whatever obstacle that's in their way. That's kind of one of our little tags where I say, well, hang on, we don't allow the can't word in here. What are you supposed to say? And they know that the consistent phrase to replace can't is how can I? So for example, you work in a global market. We deal with people of different cultures from different countries that have different societal norms. There are certain countries where a woman cannot drive a car or go to school. And so I imagine you deal with this as well when they say my passion is to drive or to go to school or whatever, and to do things that are outside of the societal norm. All the positive thinking in the world is not going to change society and societal norms. And so as long as people are asking the question, okay, so the society says I can't because they have some unconscious biases, or in some places conscious biases to who I am, whether it's male or female, whether it's my nationality, whether it's my age, whatever it is.
Anything.
They have biases against you, and we allow those to really dictate what we think is possible and what's not possible because of the societal pressure. But by asking the question, but how can I? It truly follows the model. Most people don't know that the model that most life coaches follow, but it's basically just 5 questions. What do you really, really want? Is the first question. And the second question is, so what's the obstacle or person that's in your way? And the third question is, so what's the most loving response to overcome or circumnavigate that obstacle? And then it goes on from there. But this is the place where we really help people understand that their biases, their fears are these obstacles that, yes, they do oftentimes associate other individuals, that we cannot change other people's minds.
Of course not.
The only thing we can do is find the most loving way to go around their opinion, to find the success and to fulfill the passion that we really have in our hearts. So by asking the question, how can I, instead of saying the phrase, I can't, it literally activates a different part of our brain, a more creative side of our brain that says, there's several solutions to this. If we allow ourselves to figure it out, we're creative enough to figure out a way around this obstacle.
Yeah, it's literally shifting the statement to a question, and that's actually, this is ancient wisdom, by Socrates, especially by Socrates, who was,
Yeah.
the godfather, of coaching and psychology. So, like a mind that starts, like a person that starts asking questions, is always ahead of someone who is stuck in statements. So I think that's very important. So especially open-ended questions. As you said, how can I? Instead of, okay, can I? Because it's yes or no. You say. So especially open-ended questions are a great tool. So yeah, turning any kind of statement you have into a question, it's a nice doorway, if you wish, for you to get more insights into these specific beliefs that hold you back. And most people have quite a few, and I just want to tell everyone it's okay. It's normal. Because it's our survival brain, but it's also how you've been raised and influenced by others. Okay, so yeah, that's why it's important to get the right resources, right books, the right coaches to help you with that awareness. But yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Ask questions and then aim for the right questions.
I love that. So you have a great website. It's jimpanoscoaching.com. We have it listed in the description. The link is there in the YouTube description below. And also we will have the link there for your book, Find Your Passion, How to Create a Career and More Success and Fulfillment. But before we go, Jim, I just wanted to give you an opportunity. What's one of the things you just wish all of our viewers understood about finding their passion, linking their career with that, or linking their daily activities with their passion? What's one thing that you hope all of our viewers take away from this conversation?
It's possible. It takes time. It's worth it.
It's that simple, huh?
It is. Indeed. I think that summarizes everything. Like, it's possible. And it takes time. It's not gonna be, just 30 days and just there. Again, but most likely not. But yeah, it's possible. It takes time, and it's worth it.
Yeah, it definitely is. And what's worth it is just helping people understand that you care. There's so many people who just care about themselves, and when you connect with your passion, it's all about caring for other people, and that's what makes it worth it. It's work, but it's definitely work that is worth it, because you see other people living better lives around you when you're fulfilling whatever it is that you're passionate about.
Yeah, because you give and you focus on others, and when you do that while doing something you love, it's the ultimate form of fulfillment. I think that's something that everyone should strive for. And when you do that, you also lead by example and inspire others to do the same. So a ripple effect. And I think that's very important, to be a role model in your life too. By staying true to yourself, which includes turning your passion into a career.
I love that. For people watching, if you want to change the world, change your world. And the ripple effect that Jim talks about here will take effect and ultimately change the world. Thank you so much, Jim Panos, for being with us on the lifestyle.org podcast today.
Thank you so much, Roy. It was, such an honor, great pleasure. And I really, really enjoyed, our talk. Really. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. I look forward to speaking with you more in the future. For those of you who have enjoyed this conversation and would like to connect with many more, please go to our website, lifestyle.org. There you'll find my TV shows. You'll find more podcasts. You'll find an almost never-ending blog of content to help you connect with your best life. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.